Hi everyone, I welcome you to this video, especially my grade 8 learners that we are working with, Bongani, Lungisi, Elsa, Mahlori, Yacinta, Panasi and Entle. Okay, so I welcome you to this video. So as I promised you, I was going to make a video on the basics of algebra. So we're just gonna do what we've actually covered in class, okay, so that when the algebraic expressions are coming, okay, you're actually totally ready for it, okay, and you're gonna be able to grab it easily. So now we're talking on basics of algebra. So if we look on the algebraic expression, okay, like this one, you can see we have these important details. Okay, first of all, you see from number 1 we have exponent. For number 2 we have a coefficient, right? And the whole this thing, all of this thing is called a term. Okay, it's called a term. And why is it called a term? Because it's separated by a minus, okay, or a plus sign. Okay, you can see still number 2 a coefficient. This is a term. Number 3 a sign, positive sign. This is another term. Number 5. Okay, but number 5 is more of a variable. Okay, c, variable c. Okay, if it was a constant it would be a certain number or something. Okay, but I'm sure you have done these things and you are much familiar of them. Okay, as much as we know these things, okay, which means you have a bit of an understanding of algebra that we're gonna come to. Okay, now we are discussing on the basics of algebra. Okay, so you remember in class we discussed part 1 and part 2. Okay, so that is what I'm gonna be doing with you here, part 1 and part 2, and I will want you to listen carefully, okay, and pay attention to what I say, and make sure these things they sink into your mind, into your brain. Okay, they sink into your memory, so that whenever you are dealing with these things, you remember them each and every time. Okay, so let's start with part 1. We're gonna do some couple of problems. So with part 1 we talk about how we add like terms. Okay, we talk about how do we add like terms. It's a very important topic to talk about, especially when you have to deal with algebraic expressions. Okay, so the first point to make, and I want you to also take note of it. The first point is that we only add like terms. We only add like terms. Only add like terms. Okay, only add like terms. Only add like terms. Okay, unlike terms you can't add them. That's the first thing you need to take care of. Okay, now what are like terms? Okay, like terms, they have the same variable going with the same exponent. Okay, or you can say like terms have same variables going with same exponents. Okay, so if you have an x squared y is a like, maybe 2x squared y is a like term to 4y x squared. Okay, this order doesn't matter. Okay, as long as it carries same variables and same exponents. Why do I say that? It's because the y of this side and the y of this side has power of exponent 1, the invisible one, and the x squared of this side is x squared also on this side. So that's why they are called like terms. If I put another one, let's say it's negative 3 x squared y squared, this is not a like term, okay, to these two. Okay, yes, they all carry x and y, but the exponents are not similar. So this group has x squared for x okay, as y to the power of 1 for y, right? While this side x squared and y squared have all have the power of 2. Okay, so that is what I'm talking about. This is an unlike term. These are like terms. Okay, so make sure you know that they carry the same variables corresponding with the same exponents. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, please. Okay, now let's move forward. So I want us to do some part 1 problems. Okay, adding like terms. Okay, so what is very, very important about part 1 is that you need to know how to add integers. So let me just write a couple of problems that we're gonna solve so that you recall these things. Then we're gonna also solve, let me just say this is number 1, and we're gonna also solve, okay, let's just do this first, okay, and maybe do also negative 3x minus 2x, and also do 2x squared plus 2x squared, and also do negative 4xy plus what, 6xy. Let's start simple with that. Okay, so I'm not gonna mark them. This is number 1, this is number 2, second question, this is gonna be number 3, this is gonna be number 4. Okay, now as we're working on this, I want you to listen carefully. Okay, when we are adding, these are like terms, y, x and x, same variables, same exponents. So even here we have like terms, x and x. Okay, x squared and x squared, like terms, xy and xy. I want you to pay attention to how we add integers. Is that clear? So now the rule is like this. Okay, please listen to it before we show application. When you are having integers or adding integers of different signs, you subtract the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number. Okay, this is the first rule. The second rule is saying that when you have different signs, I mean same signs, okay, negative and negative or positive and positive, when you are adding same signs, okay, when you are adding same signs, what do? You add the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number. When your integers have same signs, you add the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number. When integers have different signs, you subtract the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number. That's the rule, nothing else. So we have negative 12x plus 6x. These are like terms. When they're like terms, you know the answer that is gonna come is gonna have x, because when you are adding like terms, you keep the variable that they have in common. Okay, but now you need to add the integers. We have negative 12 plus 6. How are the signs? Signs are not the same. What did we say? We minus the numbers. 12 minus 6 is 6. The next point was take the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number between 6 and 12 is 12. And what is the sign of the bigger number? Is negative. Put negative. We have this one. Negative 3x minus 2x. Same signs, we add the numbers. Okay, for that case. 3 plus 2 is 5x, because we take back the common variable. What's the sign of the bigger number? Obviously, it's going to be negative. Okay, you see, 3 is a bigger number, it's negative. we are here now. What is the common variable to them is x squared. Why? Because we are adding like terms. We have to take back again the common variable with its exponent back, okay, to our answer. Then 2 plus 2, the signs are positive. Remember I said if there's an invisible sign here, it means it should be positive. Okay, know that. If there's an invisible sign, it's positive. If there's an invisible number as a coefficient, no, it is 1. Keep that in mind. Now, we are talking about here positive and the positive. Same signs we said we add. 2 plus 2 is 4. The sign of the bigger number is positive. They are same numbers, so there's no bigger number, so we're going to take positive. Okay, then we are here. Negative 4x squared plus 6xy. The signs are not the same. What do? We subtract the numbers. 6 minus 4 is 2. Take the common variables of them. Okay, what is the sign of the bigger number? The bigger number is 6, so it's going to be positive. So with this, I have explained to you with application that when the signs are not the same, you subtract the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number. When the signs are the same, you add the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number. So this is the first thing that you must have in mind. Okay, let's carry on. Let's go with number 5, okay, of our problems. If you have 0 minus 2x squared, okay, when you add 0 or when you subtract 0, it doesn't change anything. Okay, 0 is just a neutral number. Okay, so 0 minus x squared will still give you 2x squared, because 0 is a constant, but it's not gonna be helpful. It's not gonna be helpful to just put it back in our answer, because it's not a number. I mean, it's not a significant number because it's just 0. So it's not an important number to add in our solution. So it's a negative 2x squared. Okay, why? Because 0 minus this, okay, it doesn't gonna change anything. It's gonna keep this number the same as well with its sign. Even if I have 2xy minus 0, my answer is gonna be positive 2xy, the positive xy, because 0 will not change anything to it. Okay, number 7, let's say I have negative 4xy plus 4xy. First of all, are these like terms? Yes. So can I add them? Yes. Negative 4 plus 4, these are different signs. Yes, we know our answer should have same common variables that we have for the like terms. But now, negative 4 plus 4, it's different signs. That means subtract the numbers. 4 minus 4 is 0. So once there is 0, anything mixed with 0 or multiplied to 0, the answer here should be finally be 0. Okay, should be finally be 0. So keep that in mind, please. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Then we also can get a situation like this. Negative 3x squared y plus 4xy. In this case, let's see what's going on. Negative 3x squared plus 4xy. First of all, before you add, are these like terms? Check every time. Oh, you have x. Oh, you have x. Is it having the same power? No. Once you point at that, they are not like terms, which means you can't add them. Okay, because they don't have the same variable. They have same variables x and y, but the exponents are not corresponding the same. So which means our answer is gonna be that same answer, because it's not gonna change anything. You can't add unlike terms. Okay, you can't add unlike terms. So these are the important things I want you to know when it's come to adding, okay, and subtracting like terms. You do not add unlike terms. Okay, you only add like terms. and make sure that integers, when you are adding them, when are the same signs, take the sign of the bigger. When are the same signs, add them and take the sign of the bigger number. When I have the different signs, subtract the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number. So please practice more on these things. Now let's get to part 2. Let's get to part 2. So with part 2, let's try to use a different pen. Let's try blue for boys. So boys, I expect you to get total every time here. Okay, now part 2. Okay, here part 2 is about multiplication of different terms. Okay, so let's do some basic examples. Basic examples. These are our basic examples. X squared, and then say times negative 4x. Let me say negative 2xy times y. And lastly, negative 4 multiplied by negative 6x. Okay, let me change the colors now for our solutions. Let's take green for this time. Okay, now with multiplication you need to know this. Okay, with multiplication you need to know this. Now with multiplication, when you are multiplying different signs, positive times negative, the answer will always be negative. I'm meant to write multiplication here. When you're multiplying same signs, the answer will always be positive. Okay, so when you're multiplying different signs, answer will be negative. Same signs, answer is always positive. So you must know this. Okay, let's check with the answers. And again, same as before, we added integers alone and get the answer of integers. For like terms, we take the same variable. We don't do anything, we just take the same variable. But with multiplication, there's a different application. Let's first multiply the integers. Start with the signs. Negative times, this 3 doesn't have a sign, so we say it has an invisible positive. Okay, negative times positive is negative. 2 times 3 is 6. X times x, here you multiply variables. It's not like here when you add. When you add, you don't have to do anything to variables, you just take it back. But when you multiply, you need to multiply the variables. But how do you multiply them? You just take one base, which is we take the same variable but add the exponent. 1 plus 1 is 2. So for multiplication, you take the common variable, then you add the exponents. That's all. Okay, let's check this one. With this one, I want you to make a point again. Listen, bracket means multiply. So once we have a bracket, as you can see here, means multiply, which means this thing is the same as negative 3xy times 2y. So first multiply the signs. Negative times a positive is negative. Now you only take one variable and add exponents if you are multiplying same variables. Okay, for example, here we have y and here we have y, so you can multiply them. Y times y, oh, let's start. Okay, sorry, I forgot about the numbers. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, let's go back. Y times y, since you are multiplying same variables, you take 1 and add exponent. So the exponent is 1 is 1. So you're going to add them. So it's going to be 1 plus 1 is 2. Then the one that is not the same with the rest, you're just gonna group it back. Okay, someone can write this answer also as like negative 6xy squared. You are still correct. Okay, so remember with multiplication, when multiplying the same variables, you take one and add exponent. The one that is not the same, you just group it back. Okay, let's go back to this one. Negative 3x squared in brackets multiply, meaning negative 4x. Okay, so negative times negative is positive. We know that. 3 times 4 is 12. X squared times x. Let's first start with that. Are these same variables? Yes, it's x and x. So we can take one variable but add exponent. You don't just take it only, but you need to add exponent. 2 plus this one, that's gonna give you 3. Okay, let's come to this one now. We have 2x times y. Here this y is positive. Why? Because we say if there's an invisible sign, it should be positive. If there's we don't see a coefficient here, we know the coefficient should be 1. So this is more like this, even if it's not written for you. If there's no invisible number, it should be 1. If there's no invisible sign, it should be positive. So positive times positive is positive. 2 times 1 is 2. X times y, they are not the same variables, so you can't take one and add or do anything or add exponent. Since they are not the same variables, you're gonna group them together like this. They multiply together, one another. Okay, why am I saying this? It's because we know that x times y, okay, is the same as xy. Okay, that's why we do this. So when they're not the same, just group them. Just group them. Let's do the last one. Negative 4 in bracket negative 6x means multiply. Again, negative times negative, negative. 4 times 6 is 24. There's no variable here. We only have x. So x is going to go back because it doesn't have to be multiplied by anything. So if a variable is not going to be multiplied with any variable, it comes back to the answer. Unless they have same variables, you take one and add the exponent. The one that is not the same, you bring it back. This is the basic you must take note with part 2. Let's say also you might have another problem. This is going to be problem number 6 maybe. Yeah. So 0 times negative 3xy. Anything multiplied by 0 is 0, no matter what. Okay, no matter what. Anything multiplied by 0 is 0. For number 7, let's say you're given negative 3xy. You have negative, but there's no number here. Okay, multiplied by negative 3xy. I said if there is no number, always know that it should be 1. Okay, so negative times negative is positive. 1 times 3 is 3. xy, it doesn't have to be multiplied by any xy, so you're just gonna bring it back like this. Okay, because they can't multiply each other. Okay, now let's do the last one. Let's say you have 2xy squared multiplied by xy z. Again, multiply the numbers. Positive 2 times the positive 1 that is here. Positive times positive is positive. 2 times 1 is 1. X times x, I said you multiply only those that are the same. X times x, you're gonna take 1x, but you're not gonna let it be like that. You're just gonna add the exponent also. 1 plus 1 is 2. you're gonna look for another same variables. There's y and there's y. You're gonna take only y, but add exponent. 2 plus 1 is 3. Seems like z is going alone, so it's not gonna be multiplied with anything, so you're gonna group it back also. So this is our answer. Sorry, here I meant to write 2 here because it's 2 times 1, so it's 2. Okay, so let me write this answer in a better way. Okay, so this answer is gonna be positive 2x squared y cubed z. Okay, so please make sure to revise these things over and over every time. Revise these things I've mentioned, these things we have done together. Okay, these things, keep them in mind. So there are things that I have to mention at last. Okay, whenever you are adding integers, okay, or like terms of different signs, you subtract the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number. When its integers have the same signs, you add the numbers and take the sign of the bigger number. Okay, when it comes to multiplication, when you are multiplying the same variables, you take one and add exponents. If the other variable is not the same, you just group it to the answer. You group it back. When you are multiplying same signs, the answer will always be positive. When you are multiplying different signs, the answer will always be negative. So that is the way. So please keep that in mind. That is all what I wanted to cover with you with the basics of algebra. So see you in class. Make sure to keep watching this video. Pause it if you're not if you didn't hear well. Pause it and try to think through and understand easy. Okay, cheers.